And joining us now on our book talk segment, great to welcome a woman who's written a really fascinating book. It's called You're Lying, Secrets from an Expert Military Interrogator to Spot the Lies and Get the Truth. We're joined today by Lena Sisco, and she is a former military intelligence officer, interrogator. She's worked for the Department of Defense, and her specialty is detecting lies. We'll find out about it, and she joined us by telephone today. Lena, good to talk with you. How are you?
Thank you, Doug, for having me. I'm great, and how are you?
I'm doing great, yeah. Interesting job you have. A professional lie detector. That's pretty interesting work. Important work, too.
Yeah, it's fun, too.
How did you get into that? Did you always have kind of the ability to read people well? Is that why you went into it?
So I think, yes, I always have. And I think that females inherently have that, intuition to begin with. But I did inherit some special skills from my mom because we can both know when people are calling. We can finish each other's sentences. We just have good gut feelings and instincts. So my life, though, and how I got to be an interrogator is very odd, I guess was a good word. I was a former archaeologist, and I lived out my childhood dream, and after seeing Indiana Jones when I was young, I thought, that's it, I'm becoming an archaeologist. And so I did, and I went off, and I got my master's at Brown University, and I dug in Greece and Italy, and I came back after getting my master's, and I had no job. So I thought, that's not good. I have no money. So a friend of mine said, Lena, I got an opportunity for you, and you can make money. You should join the Navy Reserve. And I thought, are you kidding me? I'm not joining the military. I'm an archaeologist. And a month later, I was raising my hand in front of a recruiter, joining a special segment. I got into the intelligence field, and so that's what I signed up for. And I signed a 6-year contract, and I thought, what the heck? It'll be fun. It's a challenge. It's only reserve duty, so it's, the 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. And that ended up launching me on a whole other life and career, which I'm so thankful for.
Yeah, it's fascinating work that you do. Were you able to get right into that type of work once you joined the Naval Reserve, or did you have to do other things first?
Well, when you join, you have to go through your basic reserve intelligence training. So I finished that ahead of schedule. And when I got assigned to my very first unit, which was under the Office of Naval Intelligence, it was in Rhode Island at the War College, I was there maybe 3 weekends, and I was still in E3. So I had a commander come up to me. He said, Lena Sisco, have I got an opportunity for you? It's a brand new program. It's called IPW, Interrogation Prisoners of War. The Navy is going to augment the Marines in doing this when wartime comes, because we don't have enough active duty forces who have trained interrogators. So we're going to start a brand new program, and we're going to train up reservists. So when war comes, we can deploy and go augment them. And I thought, interrogating me? Seriously? I'm like, oh, sir, thank you for considering me, but that is not the job for me. And I went home, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I joined the military for a challenge, and I just turned down one. So I got so mad at myself, and I went back the next day, it was the Sunday, and I sought that commander out, and I said, sir, sign me up. I'm ready. And he thought, oh, great. So some people ask me, well, why do you think that he asked you to join this program? And at that time, he said that I was very personable, very outgoing. He knew that I liked to challenge myself, and I wasn't scared of taking on new tasks, and that I could start a conversation very easily, and I had that gut instinct. So we thought, you know what, those are good base qualities to start in this program. And so I went through almost a year of training. And after I was done, I ended up I got commissioned as a naval officer, and I'll never forget the day that I was sitting in Pensacola, Florida, in my Knights in Fort school, we call it. It's an officer candidate school, but for reservists, it's only 2 weeks long.
Right.
And I was in my etiquette class, and we were on a morning break, so it was about 10, I think. We were just trickling back to class, and in the break room there was a TV there. So I was one of the last people to leave the break room. I was finishing my coffee, and I was watching Katie Kirk and Matt Lauer on the television, and I saw a plane hit one of the towers in New York City. And I thought, what the heck just happened? And I had this gut feeling that was no mistake. And then we saw the next one. And everybody at that point didn't know whether or not it was, by accident it? And I said, oh, no. My gut told me immediately that was on purpose and we were getting attacked. And a half an hour later, my commander called me and said, get ready to pack your bags because we're going to war. And a year later, I was down in Guantanamo.
Yeah, you were down there, and you've interrogated Al-Qaeda, right, and Taliban
Yes.
prisoners, which I'm sure you never expected when you went in. You probably thought maybe just, interrogating other types of lesser criminals, but you hit the top of the line there.
Exactly. I didn't even think I would be interrogating anybody. We all graduated school and thought, wow, this is such a great skill. We're never going to use it. So it was a shocker.
Always seen in movies and TV, the classic scene where they have the prisoner under the hot light and everybody's kind of browbeating him, but that's not the way it really works, right? Or that's not the best way to get information. Am I right about that?
You're right about both of those things. No, it's usually that we're all sitting around in a circle and we're sharing tea and laughing and building rapport and, of course, questioning and getting information and, of course, detecting deception. But it's not like that.
Talk a little bit about in the book. I know you give the Rebel program. Can you give a quick capsule of what that's about?
Sure. So when I returned, I noticed that I used all these skills that I used as an interrogator in my everyday life. And I was starting to train people to use that, to not get taken advantage of by the used car salesman, to get that job promotion they want, to look and feel confident, to find out if their spouse is cheating on them. And I thought, you know what, I need to develop this into more of a program for everyday people. And then I attended the Body Language Institute with Janine Driver, and I'm one of her senior instructors as well. And I thought, it's time. So I came up with a 5-step, really easy-to-follow program. I like to use the acronym REBEL because although it, when you hear REBEL, you think of mercenary people and people who go against the law. Right. I look at it as standing up for what you believe. And what if the law is something that is going to hurt you? Or what if the rules are abusive to you in some way? So I look at it as being a rebel and standing up for respect and standing up for what you deserve. And that's kind of how I based my program. So I chunk it down into 5 easy steps, which go from number 1, building confidence, number 2, establishing rapport, number 3, baselining people before you can see the deception in the deceptive tells, and then getting into looking for those deceptive tells, we call them deviations, and then finally, once you can pinpoint down and use that good gut feeling based on numerous tells that a person's lying, how to get the truth. Because I tell people, it's one thing to be able to detect deception, but if you can't get the truth, detecting deception is not going to do you any bit of good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, and I guess everybody's kind of taught, if somebody's not looking you straight in the eye, they could be lying. That's a tell, but that's not the only one, or maybe not even the best one, right? I mean, there's other ones that you can go by.
Exactly. There's so many tells, and what I like to tell people is that when I teach tells, I'll teach you a whole bunch of them, but not one alone can be indicative of deception. It could be, but not 100% of the time, because there are some people who don't like to look people in the eye anyway because they are more introverted. Right. So you have to take that into account. Eye contact is huge. It's critical. I use that as to look for a deceptive tell, but I also look for a whole bunch of other things, and you kind of have to layer all of it. I tell people, unless you see 3 good tells that indicate deception, you cannot say a person is lying. So maybe I'm going to see a facial microexpression with a duping delight, which is a term that's coined by Dr. Paul Ekman. It means that there's this little smile that has leaked across the face in a few seconds that someone's trying to hide. So I see that, I see someone averting eye contact, and then I see a shoulder shrug, which means 100% of the time uncertainty, but uncertainty about what? We can't read minds, so we have to use our questioning techniques to find out why we're seeing these tells.
Yeah, I've always said, seem to have a pretty good ability. You can tell somebody. I grew up in New York, so maybe that's why. When somebody's conning you or phony, and sometimes they may be perfectly personable, but you just get a feeling about them that they're just full of it. Are we picking up tells unconsciously when we do that, or what? Is that why?
Yeah, that's exactly why. And a lot of people, I tell them, the first thing I'll tell them is trust your gut. We all get this gut feeling. We don't know where it comes from, and sometimes we don't know why. When it comes to you having a gut feeling about someone taking advantage of you or not being truthful, it's most likely because you picked up on a whole bunch of tells unconsciously, and because I haven't taught you these tells yet, you don't know them. But you're seeing them, and that's what gives you that gut feeling like, I don't believe this guy or this girl.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, too. If you build some kind of rapport with somebody, they tend to drop their guard. If they are going to lie to you, they may not do it as well, right?
Exactly, which is why rapport is critical and it's the second step of my program. If you can establish rapport and you can get people to like you, people will be less likely to deceive you because they like you.
Now, when you're getting back to we're at Guantanamo with the Al-Qaeda and the Taliban people that you had to talk to, how difficult was it to get them to just even talk at all, or were they pretty open?
I'm going to say maybe about 3% out of hundreds of detainees I talked to just said, nope, not going to talk to you. Mm-hmm. I had one particular one, he didn't utter 3 words in 3 days. But that was the anomaly. Normally, I got all of them to talk. They enjoy talking to me. Some would even tell me, you know what, interrogator, I'll talk about anything but this. And so then I'd have to use my techniques, and I would usually get them to talk about it without them knowing. But yeah, most of them I had amazing rapport with because I was non-threatening. I was this 5'4" female. I came in with a smile. I treated them humanely. I offered them tea. I asked them how they were. I listened to them. And, of course, then I used all my techniques on them. And so that's how I got them to talk and got all the information.
Yeah. A great story about that. But this book also, I mean, obviously the point of it is to help, the regular folk out there with their daily lives, either, when you're trying to, maybe get a job or just talking to people in general, pick up if they're deceiving you or not. So some great tips in the book called You're Lying. And we've been talking to Lena Sisco today. And Lena, I wish we had more time, but do you have a website people can get a hold of you and get a hold of the book?
I do. It is called thecongruencygroup.com. You can find me there, some information on the book. The book is available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and there's a Kindle version out as well.
Great. Lena, appreciate you taking the time. Again, congratulations on the great work you've done, and I'd love to talk to you again sometime.
So much. I would love that.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles.